Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the third episode of Abyssal Musings. With me is my co-host Lawrence Knight, and I am Samuel the Infamous. Welcome in. We're kind of doing a horror movie kick this month, so if that's your thing, stick around. If it's not, stick around anyway. So, how you doing, brother?
You know what? It's been a pretty good day. I can't complain. I spent the day. It's I noticed. Um, I forgot that Hulu does this thing. Do you have Hulu?
Yes.
Good. So you know that every October, it they pull a bunch of horror movies uh, that are either already on Hulu, and I think they add a few more, and they might come out with a few specials, and they call it Huluween.
Yeah. Well, I've only had Hulu for about I don't know, when did Prey come out? Because that's when I got it.
Oh shoot, I don't know. I didn't watch
It
Prey.
it wasn't that long ago.
Maybe a few months ago.
Yeah, maybe that.
I think Prey came out like 2 months ago.
Yeah, something like that. So, that's the reason I got it, because I'm, like the Hellraiser franchise, I'm a big Predator fan.
Yeah.
And I wanted to see that movie, and I was not there were parts of it I really liked, and there were parts of it that I thought were dog shit. So,
I still haven't watched it yet.
hey
Not
Bernie.
sure if I'm gonna watch Prey. I might. Not sure.
You
Hey
know,
Barnaby.
there are some things that were pretty neat about it, but there and some of the visuals were kind of hit or miss. Some of them were really great, and some of them were just like, really, guys. And I gotta be honest, I hate the redesign of the Predator's head.
That's what's making me wonder about the upcoming Hellraiser. I mean, it's now my question is it a I wouldn't say it. I wouldn't expect it to be like high quality, but was it something that was specifically made for Hulu and Hulu only? You know what I mean?
Yes,
Like the
yes. What I can tell you, okay, so for years the rights to this franchise was rested with Dimension, which was a subsidiary of Miramax, which at one time was under the Weinstein Company, and during that
of
time
course.
was under Disney. So Pinhead has actually been a Disney princess twice in the history of the franchise, by the way, uh, as in owned by Disney. Um, and then, of course, Hulu is also owned by Disney, so this actually makes three times. Anyway, so last year, um, Clive Barker, the creator of this stuff, got a hold of the got the rights back, because enough time had passed. He could sue to get the rights back, and he won, and immediately turned around and struck a deal with Hulu to remake his own movie. Because you might not know this, he was the writer and director and producer of the original Hellraiser as well.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know, um, and also he was the I think the one of the writers and head producer on the second one. I think he's got a production credit on the third one, but after that, he just has nothing to do with the rest of the series. Um, excuse me. So, hey, Troll, good to see you. Yeah, so he finally gets his rights back, and he turns around and he makes a deal with Hulu to make an exclusive uh, movie reboot, what have you, that will only debut on their platform. And this is kind of a win-win. He gets control of his property back, and gets to do what he likes with it, which I imagine. Well, I'm going to find out how that goes. And then Hulu, of course, gets the exclusive, which means probably more subscriptions for them, and all that money's going to Disney now. So we will see, but that's basically how that happened. Was he made an exclusive deal with that, so you're not going to see it anywhere but Hulu, at least for the time being. Same thing happened with Prey, actually. No, Prey was in theaters too, wasn't it?
No, I think it was a Hulu
Was it?
exclusive.
Yeah. Okay.
I think so.
Yeah, the whole same day release thing was really more of a Warner Brothers thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
So, um, anyway, that's pretty much what happened with that. So yeah, we're gonna find out
Well, we're gonna
exactly
see because
how
I
that
noticed it
goes.
looks like he pulled the. I noticed that it's the female pinhead, so I'm wondering if it's the pinhead that Doug Bradley played, or is it the the female that replaces that pinhead in the comics?
It's neither.
Really?
No, this is you haven't read The Hellbound Heart, have you?
No.
Okay, so The Hellbound Heart is what the first movie was based on, and with a couple of key changes that don't really affect the story too much, but they were kind of drastic changes. It's more or less verbatim what the book was. However, in the book, Kirsty is not Larry's daughter. She's a family friend.
Well, I
And
don't know anybody named Christy, so
Kirsty was the heroine of the first movie.
no. I mean, I don't have a daughter named Christy, so
Well, not Lawrence Knight, Larry Cotton. And then in the again in the and I think I mentioned this last week, the Cenobites were not referred to by any kind of name or nomenclature. It was just description only, and the lead Cenobite, referred to I think once or twice by that, was described as Pinhead ended up being, but was a lot closer to what we're seeing with the trailer for this new movie. Androgynous to the point of being unable to tell whether it was originally male or female.
I was able to tell though, but I mean, it's a female playing
Right. Well, I'm just saying
the
in
character. So
in the story that they're basing this on, it's so hard to tell. Even the voice box has been mutilated to a point where you can't tell if it's male or female. And so the actor who is playing Pinhead in this movie is actually transgender, male to female.
Really?
Yeah. Name is Jamie Clayton. I saw Jamie Clayton actually in a television. I don't know if I mentioned this in the previous ones or not, but was in a Netflix series called Sense8.
I've heard of that movie. Yeah, you know what? You did bring that up.
Yeah. So, you know what, man? It's still my favorite. Those earlier movies, and then I even love most of the really shitty ones, with the exception of the last two and the fifth one. And actually, the very last one that we've had was better than the ninth one and the fifth one combined, and it still wasn't great. Plus, Doug Bradley's not in it, so Yeah. But yeah, and what ended up happening when they made the original was that he was just this poor guy who had written a couple of things that had sold some copies. They made the original movie for something like under $90,000 in 1987.
Not bad.
And part of where he saved money was by hiring his friends from a local acting troupe, including Doug Bradley. And I don't remember all of their names, but the original female Cenobite, because it's Barbie something or other plays her in the second one, but the original one in the first one was part of that troupe, I believe. And the guy who plays Butterball, we're all members of that troupe. Actually, I think the guy who plays Frank Cotton was too. And if you notice, you go back and watch that movie, his voice is dubbed over, and it's very badly done. Because the actor himself was English and he had a different voice, and so they dubbed him over with a guy with an American accent, or a more American accent, rather. Hi, welcome. Good to see you. Talking horror movies. So,
hey, Troll Patrol's here.
Yep, Troll Patrol. We got Troll Patrol. We got Bernie. Looks like 7-1's here. Good to see you, brother. The Exiled Lioness.
7-inch woman.
So yeah, basically that's where they saved money at, was they hired a bunch of friends to play these parts.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how this movie plays out. I definitely like the atmosphere. I watched the trailer, and it was definitely creepy the way they came out of the corner.
The trailer was this, except for the bit in the middle where they're showing what happens with the box, and you get that like kind of mediocre voiceover that it describes exactly what you're seeing. If they could have cut that voiceover out, I think that would have been probably a perfectly put together trailer. It was really, really good. As trailers go, because I'm intrigued now. I'm kind of excited. I hope it doesn't disappoint.
I think if you go in with the right expectations, then you won't be disappointed. That's
Yeah.
what I do with movies. I try not to expect too much unless it's a Marvel movie, then I expect a bit more depending on you know what I'm looking at. Because I mean those Marvel films have had their, I wouldn't say low points, but some are definitely better than others. But overall, they definitely created a high bar.
Yeah, I'd say that probably the last great one was probably Infinity War. Everything after that's kind of been downhill. There were a couple of ones that weren't quite that bad, and actually the last Spider-Man movie probably made up for a lot of that stuff too. But um, most of the rest of them have just kind of been. Well, I mean, they stopped hiring real writers and directors. Everything's made by factory now. Assembly line. So like directors will go in and they're basically just being hired so they can put their name on it, and they're told exactly what to do with what parts, and they're not even allowed to direct the whole thing.
I think that's been going on the whole time, though. I mean, that's one of the main reasons why you see a lot of directors quitting, even back in the '80s, '90s, you know, about a director quitting, and you don't really know why, but now they're more vocal. I mean, look what happened with the Star Wars movies with that Han Solo. How many directors did they go through because of Kathleen Kennedy? You went through like
um,
what, three directors?
yeah, and the last one was Ron Howard, and he was basically tasked with cleaning up the mess the other two had made.
Yep.
And he did the best he could, but that movie was still crap. you know, it was not well done. So I'm hoping for better here. I'm honestly torn on whether or not Clive Barker being involved is a good thing, because he has been on record for decades saying how much he hates this franchise, even though he started it.
I think he just hated it because he didn't have the rights to it.
Yep. She makes a point. Where are those likes at, people? So, yeah, Bernie, agree. Almost every sequel has been a letdown, not in all cases. That's true. But you bring up Jeepers Creepers. Now, Jeepers Creepers 2 was pretty good for a sequel, but Jeepers
Yeah, well,
Creepers 3 is something that we don't talk about because it
no.
was so bad.
It's like Fight Club. We don't talk about Jeepers Creepers 3.
Yeah. you know, uh, Thank you, Amira. No, but yeah, we just, and the second rule of Fight Club is you do not talk about Jeepers Creepers 3. No, that's only funny if you've seen Fight Club.
I tell you what, when I saw Jeepers Creepers, the second one, it kind of made me think. I wouldn't say I have flashbacks, but anytime that I watch it, I think about an incident that I was in. I wouldn't say it was what kind of was scary. I think I told you about that, right? Time I went to Vegas when I was 19.
Mm-hmm.
Did I tell you about that?
Yes, you did.
Oh well. You guys almost had a story.
No, you can go ahead and tell. I mean, I'm sure if you want to tell the story, most of the people here haven't heard it,
All right.
except maybe Linus.
Well, for those of you who haven't heard, so in my youth, I decided to go to Vegas with a buddy of mine from work, uh, and at the time, and this was like the '90s. But the guy is driving he says, "Hey man, I'm going to Vegas. You want to go with me?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll go." The guy he was driving a 1984 Toyota. I want to say it was a Chevette. Um, and I just looked at the thing and I was like, man, I don't know if that's going to make it. He said, no, I took it to the shop. Everything's good. We go out there. Everything's going well. He hit a small jackpot. He had like a $2,800 jackpot, and he gave me $400. Just for being there. And to make a long story short, I'm sleeping one night. I'm in the hotel room and I'm asleep. He wakes me up at 3 o'clock in the morning. This fool decides that he wants to drive all the way out outside of Vegas to one of the brothels, because all the brothels are like 50 miles past Vegas, 50 to 100 miles past Vegas, like out in the desert. We start going out there. It's no, a matter of fact, it was 1:30 when he woke me up. We left and we hit the road. It's 2. All of a sudden, his car starts acting funny. It's pitch black outside. It is 2:30 in the morning at this point. The car breaks down and in front of this big building, this big weird looking building across the street. So now we're outside in the dark. There's animals running across the road, and I'm like, man, I'm like, okay, I'm looking at a fox. I'm looking at who knows what else. And stuff is out there howling. And I turn and look at him, and I said, hey, man, I thought I thought you put this car in the shop. I thought you got it checked out. And he said, I did. And I said, well, the hell did the mechanic tell you? And he said, oh, he told me not to drive it to Vegas. And at that point, I about wanted to kill him. And I just looked at him and I said, well, you know what? Let me get up and go over to this building. There was a bunch of lights on. Guys, I get close to the building. I see a sign that says Nevada State Penitentiary. Car broke down in front of the prison. So you talk about scary. So I'm out here in the dark. There's really no light where we were. And I'm looking at this guy that I want to strangle in a car that won't start. Eventually it did start, and you would think that he would turn around. Now, at 19, I'm ashamed to say I didn't have a driver's license. Otherwise, I would have snatched him up by his neck, and I would like, no, I'm driving. Most people would have turned around and go back to the city. This fool keeps going. Car won't go past 23 miles an hour. So by the time we make it there, the sun is up. And of course, because I'm not 21, I can't go in. So I'm sitting in a car in the heat for 2.5 hours waiting on this fool to come out, which he finally did. He comes out, tricks me into getting out of the car, gets into the passenger seat, says he's tired, and goes to sleep. I've never driven a car, and asked me to drive the both of us back to Vegas. I've never driven a car at this point. Don't know what I'm doing. I look over to him to ask him, what in the hell do I do? He's knocked out cold.
Hey, Josh.
To make a long story short, his radiator was 80% clogged with rust. And he knew it when we left to go to Vegas. He knew it. The only solace that I had out of the whole thing was every dime that he won, he ended up spending all that money to get his radiator fixed. And then later on that year, he got audited for all that money that he won when we got back into California.
Man, you guys are lucky that's all that happened. I think 7-1 was right. You were this close to starring in your own horror movie there. You know, it could have been like a House of Wax situation.
Man, I've probably been in a few situations like that, but I learned my lesson. I never went anywhere with him again ever. And the next year, he decided to go do that trip again. And my answer was hell no. So 2 of our friends went with him. I'm at work at night, get a phone call, answer the phone. It's one of my friends. This fool flipped the car in the desert, headed in the same direction that we were at right when the car died the last time.
Maybe it's not the car.
No, it's him.
Maybe it's
the car is upside down. The car is upside down. My friends are mad, so they're ready to kill it.
A lot of bodies buried out in that desert. Just saying. Yeah.
Well, you know what? That was always a rumor when I was in the Army. They used to always say that there was, that desert between California and Nevada. It's a no man's land. You can go out there and shoot guns. I mean, they were finding, people were getting murdered, and they were finding bodies in that desert. Mm-hmm. So, and all kinds of stuff be crawling around at night.
Man, that whole region of the country was founded by Mormons and mobsters.
Yeah.
Not that I'm saying that Mormons are in the business of taking people out in the desert, but mobsters are.
Well, you hear about what happened today in Vegas, right?
No, I haven't been paying
What?
attention.
Well, apparently Vegas turned into England. You know what happens when they take all the guns away? They start using the knives. Some guy
Mhm.
they're looking for a guy right now, multiple stab attack.
You
He
know, that
killed.
same
He
thing happened in freaking Canada last month.
really?
Yeah, some guy went around and stabbed like 20 people. And of course, nobody could stop him because nobody was armed,
Oh no.
So,
Same thing here.
but
Guys walking around with a
that's
kitchen knife.
right.
Killed
You know,
two
did
people and stabbed a few more.
did he at least put on a William Shatner mask?
You know what? That's a good question. I don't know. They didn't even say that they really knew what he looked like. There was no.
Well, maybe
If I
that's
remember
because he
correctly,
looks
there was
like
no.
maybe that's because he looks like a rubberized version of William Shatner. Just saying.
Maybe.
Kitchen knife and all. Is he wearing some kind of jumpsuit? Furthermore, does he always move very slowly, but when you look behind you, he's always right behind you?
You know what? That used to always bother me when I was a kid, especially like.
Yeah,
I
right,
mean,
Bernie. I'm
Michael
saying
Myers was different because
I
they
am
show him driving.
telling you. Yeah, I am telling you it's Michael Myers, this guy in Vegas.
It could
but
be. I'm
but
leaning
yeah,
more towards Jason because I think Jason teleports.
yeah. Well, I mean, you're right. You're right about Michael Myers being different though, because he was, Jason was a force of nature, right?
Yeah,
And I think we might have discussed this recently too.
yeah, we
But
did.
and Freddy was a vengeful spirit, really. Um, but Michael Myers was ostensibly human. He just had a soul that was pure evil. And also the real creepy, slow walking. I had these roommates years ago who liked to keep exotic pets in the house. And one of the pets that they got at one point was a golden tegu. Do you know what that is?
Mm-mm.
It's a kind of monitor lizard. I think the biggest they get is about 2.5 feet long, from the tip of the nose to the tip of the tail.
Mm.
Komodo dragons are also monitor lizards. If that gives you an idea.
Oh yeah.
So it's like a small, prettier Komodo dragon. This motherfucker was so vicious, just evil, and you could see it in his eyes. I mean, most reptiles are a little hard to read because they're not like mammals. Uh, they you can look into one's eyes and you have no understanding of it. It's almost alien. This one, you could see the ill intent behind its eyes. It hated every living thing in that room, us included. And he had these little teeth that were like little glass knives, right? If he caught you with them, he might leave a row of teeth in your finger
Ouch.
if he didn't take the finger with him. So they named him Simon because they thought at that time that if Michael Myers from Halloween had a middle name, it would be Simon, because he moved the same way when he was stalking his prey.
Mm. Thanks for stopping by, Mira.
Yeah, have a great night. Thanks for coming. We'll talk to you soon. So yeah, that is kind of what I'm thinking. Is it actually? I'm gonna look it up real quick because Michael Myers does have a middle name, but it's not Simon.
I bet it's something like Eileen or something like that.
Yeah, it's like Shannon or something. Audrey, Michael Audrey Myers.
Oh, that's even worse too, Audrey.
Yep. Apparently named after let's see. Myers might be possessed by a spirit, blah, blah, blah. Has an Atari video game, several, okay, blah, blah, blah. Myers is named apparently after a film distributor, which means that the film distributor's name is also Michael Audrey Myers.
Wow.
Oh, wait. Virtually all evidence related to the real Michael Myers has vanished into thin air. Wait, I had no idea it was based on a real dude. The serial killer's true name was Stanley Stiers. Although both Stiers and Myers have the same middle name of Audrey. Huh. I'm gonna look that up real quick.
Audrey though.
Never heard of this guy. 1912. Two babies were born on the same day. One was to the Stiers family, who named their son Stanley. The other family's unknown. At the hospital, and nurse switched the babies. What? Oh, this can't be real.
Wait a minute. What do you?
Oh, yeah. No. Oh, shit. It looks like there's records of this. Maybe.
It's ma'am. Now, there's a
Stanley
horror
Stiers
movie for you.
in Iowa. This guy was. I see if he was born in 1912, then this would have been probably in the 30s. Would be my guess. I'm not seeing a lot of stuff here because they keep saying like, well, is he fact or is he fiction? Okay. I got other people here saying that he was a fictional character. I thought that couldn't be real. Switched at birth. Come on.
Maybe he was factual. Maybe he was factual fiction.
Oh, I didn't see that. That's awesome.
Man.
Yep. Troll, you're absolutely right. It has a whole new meaning now.
It's ma'am.
I bet he would say that too if he talked, but he doesn't speak.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I know this is kind of off topic because I had to ask you this because I know we're doing the whole horror theme this month, which I'm looking forward to as we go on. Did you see what happened with that movie? What's it called, Bros?
Oh, the fact that nobody fucking but Chrissy Meyer showed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the guy that wrote it is mad. He's so mad that he's blaming straight people for not going and watching it. But he told us that it wasn't for us. He gave us the middle finger.
It wouldn't matter if he said it was for us. He doesn't understand a damn thing about straight men. Straight men do not go to romantic comedies unless they're dragged by their fucking ear by their girlfriends or their wives. No, those movies are not made for men. They have never been made for men. And even gay men don't go see those most of the time.
Yeah.
And no one wants to see a romantic comedy about two dudes. They just don't.
I just thought it was funny because this guy is so angry. He just went on Twitter and just started throwing a tantrum. It's all of you homophobic straight people and I was like, wow.
Yeah, Troll here's doing an impression of Michael Jackson there.
But back to the horror thing. I have to wonder how many.
I think Bros counts.
How many horror movies are based off of real people?
There are a few, but they're all based off the same guy for the most part. Like we talked about, I don't believe Silence of the Lambs counts as a horror movie. It's a psychological thriller. Both Buffalo Bill and Hannibal Lecter are in fact based on real people, but only in part. Buffalo Bill's based loosely on Ed Gein. So is Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Mm-hmm.
And then the guy that Hannibal Lecter is based on, I believe, was Central American. I can't remember which country, Nicaragua or Ecuador or something like that. A psychologist who I believe is still alive and still in prison to this day. And reportedly every bit as intimidating and intelligent as Hannibal Lecter is in those movies. Yeah, Bernie, one of them was Leatherface, based on Ed Gein, who where was he at? He was Minnesota, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
That's the one with his that's the one where his he flipped out because his mother died, right?
No, he might have been. He was the guy who spent like 30 years making people into furniture and like belts and shit.
Yeah, but I'm saying I think what flipped it, what did it was his mom passed. His mom was like, I think she was like, I won't say really like religious, but she really did a number on him, and just really he couldn't separate himself from her. And when she died, he flipped out. Ed Gein.
Yeah, in that case, Norman Bates is probably based on him too.
He's probably based on him.
It's interesting story. Psycho, right, which came out in the 60s, I think. Late 60s, actually. And it was filmed in black and white, not because it was an old movie, but because black and white was cheaper than color. That's why they went with that. and because Hitchcock could get away with more with black and white than he could with color at that time. Like all the blood in the shower scene is chocolate, is like Hershey's chocolate syrup, which you can't tell the difference in black and white. It's
Black
just a
and white,
dark
of
liquid.
course.
But that movie is based on a book by an author named Robert Bloch, who wrote a bunch of stuff in the Weird Tales magazine in the 30s, and including some Cthulhu mythos stuff. He also wrote a really good book I'd highly recommend called Night of the Ripper, which is about Jack the Ripper, which I read in like junior high. So Amityville Horror is also based on supposedly true events, but I don't know how much of the characters in that movie are actually based on real people, or if they were just stand-ins for
Well, they're
whatever
going to
else
change the
happened.
name so that they're going
Yeah,
to change the name so that the ghosts and whatever else is in there doesn't file a
right.
lawsuit.
And they're going to write it to be a little bit more dramatic, make the people more interesting, or at least that's how they used to write movies. They don't do that shit anymore. Now it's all two-dimensional cardboard cutout shit. But yeah, that one. The
Exorcist,
Exorcist
I think.
is
Yeah.
based on a book by William Peter Blatty that is supposedly based on a true account.
Right.
Did you ever see The Serpent and the Rainbow, Wes Craven movie?
I did.
Okay, so that is also based on a book that was published as nonfiction by an actual doctor who went to Haiti looking for this like miracle anesthesia.
Yeah, I remember that. And he got.
Yeah.
Didn't he try some of it?
Oh yeah. It's the zombie powder. Yeah. Yeah, Jack the Ripper is still unsolved. Every year there's somebody else who comes out and says, "Oh, we've got evidence that it was this person or this person." 2 years ago, somebody said it was a woman. So but no, they even with modern technology, there is not enough surviving evidence to actually prove anything.
Well, of course not. I mean, you're talking decades later.
Oh no, more than that. 140 years almost. Jack the Ripper was in the spring, I believe, of 1888.
You know what I'm willing to bet? I'm willing to bet that Jack the Ripper was a cop.
I don't think so. I think because cops at that time weren't particularly educated outside of their field, and the killer displays a knowledge of anatomy that only a very specific few professions would have had access to. Excuse
And
me.
he was some kind of doctor.
He could have been a doctor. He could have been a butcher. He could have been a farrier, and that's about it.
Maybe he was a cop who moonlights as a doctor and then killed on the side.
Well, did you ever see From Hell?
No.
It's a Hughes Brothers movie. It's really good. Johnny Depp's in it. He plays a guy named Inspector Aberline, who is a real what the lead inspector on the actual Ripper case was an Inspector Aberline. But then they spice it up with like he's got an opium addiction and then he sees visions and shit like that. Without that part of it, the movie was pretty realistic. So much so that there were tales that some of the actresses couldn't be in the same room with their corpse dummies because it looked too real, kind of thing. Which is neither here nor there. But in that story, the resolution to who Jack the Ripper was probably closer to anything else I can think of that came out. I don't even remember who it turned out to be in Robert Bloch's book. I just remember the book being really good. Hell, I wrote a Jack the Ripper story where it did turn out to be one of the prostitutes. I mean, it was like 10th grade, and I was just, yeah, they give you a writing assignment. You're just like, all right, I'm gonna make this as fucked up as possible. See if I can get my English teacher to cry. I followed all the rules. I did everything to the letter. But you're a veteran. You know exactly what that means.
Yeah.
To the letter.
There's still a way around it, though.
Yeah. So I did exactly what I was asked. I just didn't do it the way that she would have preferred. But she couldn't fault me on the actual work. So yeah, there's a bunch of different things that are based, at least in part. Even Jaws is based on a series of attacks off of Martha's Vineyard that occurred in, I think, 1908. Although I
Mhm.
believe in that case they think it was a bull shark, not a great white.
Well, the great white is going to add it adds more flair to it when it's up.
Right.
I mean, a
Even
bull,
which is silly because if you look into the statistics with shark attacks, the bull
yeah,
sharks
bull
are
sharks are more aggressive.
they are the most aggressive man
Yeah, they
eaters.
are. Yeah.
And they can be freshwater.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. They can.
Uh,
They hunt and kill them both.
mhm.
But you know what I saw earlier today? I was reading this news article. They were talking about orcas, and these scientists were amazed because a group of orcas are going around somewhere around Europe. They're going around and hunting, killing, and eating great white sharks, and they caught it on video. These great whites were swimming for their lives, and the orcas were not. They were not letting them go.
Well, yeah. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, number one, there's the orca doesn't have a natural predator. You know,
Yeah,
it is one
I
of
thought sharks didn't either, but I
no,
thought
no,
great whites didn't. But apparently they do.
there's plenty of shit that'll eat a great white, but orcas are pound for pound the largest, most aggressive predator in the ocean. Maybe the exception could be for like sperm whales, but they almost exclusively hunt like deep sea squid, which are also huge predators. But these are again like deep sea shit. Whereas orcas are a lot closer to the surface. But orcas eat bears, man. You know, um, and that's why we call them killer whales, even though they're not whales. You know. But one of the things is yeah, they can actually be sadistic, and they do kill for fun. They're one of the few animals besides man that does, and that is because they're porpoises. They're gigantic porpoises.
Yeah,
And
the giant.
porpoises,
They're basically giant dolphins, aren't they?
yeah, porpoises are intelligent and they coordinate their attacks. Sharks
Yeah.
do not work with each other. If they did, I mean, you've seen how
Well,
when
they eat
frenzy
each other in the
happens.
womb before they're born, don't
Yeah,
they?
the ones that yeah, some of them do, yeah. And if they're not fast enough, the second they're born, their mother will eat them too. Yeah, they have zero maternal instinct. Um, but yeah, they're totally disorganized. The blood gets in the water, their eyes roll back, and it's just bite on anything that moves. Like you've seen feeding frenzies, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You know, if you watch a large enough one, you'll start seeing that the sharks start eating each other and not whatever it was that drew them in the first place because they're just blindly biting. Whereas orcas are they're very smart and they are organized and they communicate with each other and they hunt like a pack.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably, and they also are bigger than your average great white on average. And so yeah, they're probably laying waste.
Yeah, that's what I noticed too. Is that and I was just talking with my wife earlier. I said, orcas are very dangerous, especially when they're in groups.
Mm-hmm. I think they call them pods, but yeah. Yeah. Bernie says that dolphin meat is very tasty. I would not know, but I have heard that if you go swimming with them and you get a little too close, they'll think that your meat is very tasty too.
Yep.
That's why we call it dolphin love. Sort of an aquatic struggle snuggle. That was a bad joke. Sorry. Oh, my sister's gonna hear that and she's gonna be like, "That's really funny. I say that all the time." I was like, "I know you do." um, but yeah, that's did you know there was a horror movie called Orca?
I
Once
was
upon
just
a
about to
time.
bring that up.
Mm-hmm. It was basically Jaws with a killer whale. It wasn't anything special, but I do remember seeing it when I was a kid. I just don't remember too much about it beyond that.
Yeah, it's just, it's for me with orcas. It's hard because they look so kind, and they're not.
Yeah.
They look so harmless, man.
What's those? It's those white spots on their heads, right? They kind of
Yeah.
look like friendly big eyes, and you're not actually seeing their actual evil, beady little black eyes buried in the black part of their coloring. Yeah, just wishing death upon you. So, but yeah, they're That's actually a genre of horror that I like quite a bit. Is the oversized and out of control animal kind of stuff.
Like,
Uh,
did you go watch what's the name of that one? The Meg.
I haven't got a chance to see that one yet. It looked ridiculous and a lot of fun though. So, but oh Jesus! Speaking of abject horror, I mean, damn. You know, um,
What?
that's nasty. So, but no, I actually my sister got a movie for me the other day that I haven't even watched yet. I'm planning on it at some point. It's called and it's a Shutter exclusive. It's called Boar, and it says in the outback, no one can hear you squeal. It's about a giant wild pig that eats like teenagers camping in the outback.
That
Uh,
could go either way. It
I
just it
yeah,
sounds campy.
it probably is, and I'm probably gonna love it.
But you know what though? So some of those campy ones be pretty are pretty good.
That's what I'm saying, man. If it's campy, especially if it's intentionally campy, sometimes it could be just as much fun as something that's really well put together. It's the and even some of the unintentional ones, but it's always the ones that got like some kind of like overt message or whatever that are usually kind of like, all right, I don't want to watch this. Oh, remember that film from a long time? Oh, yeah, I haven't seen it yet. My sister got it for me last year, and it's just kind of been sitting on the shelf waiting for a good time to watch it. So I do actually. Welcome, Bad Brother G. I think I actually have seen Razorback, but I was probably around 12 or 13 when I saw it, so I don't recall too much about it. That would have been around the same time that I saw Alligator, which came out in the 70s when uh, movies that weren't porn could still get an X rating, because at the time it wasn't just it was like just a step past R, where the X meant like excessive uh, sex, but also excessive violence, that kind of thing. I believe the original Last House on the Left has an X rating, for example. Just because of the disturbing content. So, but yeah, that's I don't know, man. So let me ask you, man. What is your? I know you talked about how you really like werewolf movies,
Yeah.
right? Um, is that your favorite genre of horror?
No,
What is it?
the slasher movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, the slasher movies. I mean, I know and it goes. It's not just because when you say slasher movies, the first thing is of course your Michael Myers, your Jason, especially as often we brought it up, but it's just it's any movie that's along that format. When you have those and there's a lot of later movies like out there when I like Sorority Row. I mean, these were I wouldn't say campy, but they're just slasher movies. It's like you don't know who's killing all these people. They just show up dead. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Those are kind of it's like the horror mystery type of genre. Those are usually the ones that I like because I like to try to figure out who did it. So if I have to say modern wise, more modern,
Hmm.
my favorite movies is the Scream franchise.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah. And that's something I will say for the Scream franchise is that they did a pretty well, at least in the very first movie. And I'll give it to the second one too. They did a really good job keeping a lid on who the killers were until it was time to reveal them.
Yeah.
That was, if you pay attention, you can find the clues, but usually it takes a second watch to pick that stuff up. And that's pretty damn good storytelling.
Yeah. Well, the first two they were really good
Mm-hmm.
at throwing you at throwing you off.
Yeah, the red
Um,
herrings.
I mean, I would say they were better at it in the second one than the first because the way that the climax was set up, it got to a point to where it could have only been one of a couple of people. Now the twist was that it was two of them.
Mm-hmm.
But by then I knew it was either Stu or the other guy. I knew it was one of them. I did not suspect that it was both. And, and
Yeah.
and and for me, like I said, because it got to a certain point where I was like, okay, they were throwing a party, but all these people are gone now. There's something I didn't catch, but it's got to be one of those two guys because there's really nobody else hanging around in the area except them. And
Mm-hmm.
so I don't think that was a mistake that Wes Craven put in place. I think it was the bait. I think it was the clue, like you said. I think it was the clue to get you to kind of look at you to look one
Yeah.
way, and then the reveal that it was two people. That's the uppercut.
Yeah.
That's the
Well,
Mike Tyson uppercut that knocks you on your butt.
it's like, dude's waving his left hand so you won't see the right hand coming. What you don't realize is it's going to be a 1-2 punch.
Yeah.
That's a great way to look at it. I like some slasher stuff. I like some of the more offbeat, obscure kind of stuff like Santa's Sleigh, for example, which is
I've heard of
about
that
a
one.
yeah, it's about a mall Santa who goes crazy. you know, um, and things like that. But I'm more of a creature feature kind of guy myself. I like movies with monsters in them or space aliens or what have you. Though that's a hit or miss because some of those movies are just a headache to watch, and some of them are really really dumb. Some of them are really great though, like The Thing.
Yeah.
The Thing was really good. But the thing about the Thing, as I get redundant in trying to describe something with its own title, um, is that it's not about the creature itself, although you're never quite sure what the creature is. It's about the dread and the uncertainty that creeps into the minds of the characters. Which is where the real horror is.
Mhm.
Can they trust each other? Can they trust themselves? Can they work together long enough to get out of this situation, or are they all fucked? You don't know. And it was really well done. One of John Carpenter's best. You know, um, and I really like that one. I also, I mean, I love the Blob. You know,
I haven't seen the Blob in years. I
yeah.
saw it when I was a kid. I thought it was funny. It never scared me. I was just like, this
Mhm.
is funny, but I'm gonna watch it.
I did not watch it. Part of the reason I did not watch it is because I got still shots of they forego all the practical effects in favor of modern CGI, and modern CGI pretty much just looks like crap anymore because of the way that they're doing it with the assembly line shit. You get so much time to work on whatever CGI project you're working on, and that's it, and they pay him shit and all that stuff. So it ends up looking like crap. Take a look at any of the Marvel TV shows on Disney Plus, for example. The CGI is terrible, and that's pretty indicative of most modern stuff. And when they remade that, they obviously didn't have the same kind of access to funds and budget as Disney does rather. And you can tell it looks like something that was funded by Sci-Fi Channel, and
But
they
you
would
know
have
what
been
though?
better off using cheaper practical effects.
Sci-fi for what it is, Sci-Fi Channel has come up with some decent movies.
Yes, it has, and it's not always about the effects. It's just that kind of put me off from it, and then I found out that it's basically the story of what happened to the. For those of you who haven't seen it, in the original, which isn't the original, it's a remake, but the John Carpenter version, everything kicks off when they discover something has happened to the Norwegian camp of scientists, and from what I understand, the 2011 one is actually supposed to be the story of what happened there. and I'm not really much into prequels, so I didn't actually watch that one. Um, and I mean, it might be a lot better than I think it is. I haven't seen it. So I don't know, Lawrence, if you saw that, it would be kind of weird if you did, if you didn't see the first one though. Yeah, actually, the original Blob, I'm probably gonna watch this weekend. I found out that shit's on Hulu. you know, I'm gonna watch that again.
Have you ever seen Killer Clowns from Outer Space? I believe that's what it's called.
Yes, I have seen Killer Clowns from Outer Space. It's one of my sister's favorite movies.
Well, you know what? I was shocked at how good it was. I watched it maybe 5 years ago. There was nothing else on. I was like, man, I might as well watch it. But I was shocked at how decent it was.
Well, there's a reason it's got a pretty solid cult following. It wasn't a bad movie. It was just it was campy a little bit, but um, man, I like that goofy shit though too. Like, did you ever see Attack of the Killer Tomatoes?
Yep.
Did you see the second one? Because they made a sequel.
No, I didn't.
There's in the sequel, one of the human protagonists dresses up like one of them to infiltrate them, and they're all sitting around a campfire eating human beings. Right? And he gets caught because he asks for some ketchup.
Wow.
That one I haven't seen that one in a while. I remember liking it. I watched the Steve McQueen one a little bit more recently, and I'm going to watch it again this weekend. I thought it was. I remember liking it quite a bit. I don't think it's terribly different, except in terms of the era that it was made in, really. But as far as the story goes, I think the story is more or less the same. There might be some minor differences, but I remember liking that one. I don't know, Larry. Did you see the remake of the Blob, the one where it was all like pink?
I think so.
Mm-hmm. I think it was quite a bit more graphic than the original was, but the original was also in black and white. I think it was in black and white. I don't know. It might have been colorized. I don't think it was though.
I think it might have been a sequel then, if that's the case. Because the one I saw was in color.
Oh, maybe it was. I'm not sure.
Larry Hagman directed Son of the Blob.
I did not see Son of the Blob. I don't know anything about that movie.
Didn't it just break off a piece of itself?
I have no idea. I haven't seen it. So it would make sense, but a couple of weeks ago when you were talking about how disgusted you were with The Fly and that you couldn't finish it.
Oh yeah. Oh man.
So I found out the other night that hold on, let me double check this. I think it's Hulu, but it might be HBO Max. It's HBO Max. Anyway, it's got a Fly movie collection. So it's got that one that you didn't finish. It has the sequel to it starring Eric Stoltz, and it has the original with Vincent Price.
I'm still not watching it.
Yeah, I think you should watch the original one. It's nowhere near as graphic and gross.
I don't want to see nothing. I don't want to see Price's head turning into a fly's head.
You don't see that. Price isn't the guy who turns into the fly. It's his brother-in-law.
Well, still.
So, but yeah, that you should see that movie. It's great. I mean, it's all done up with 50s like prosthetics and shit. So it's basically they just put the fly mask on a dude and he wanders around with these like weird little fly hands and shit. But it was pretty fun. Yes, definitely. And I really liked the Cronenberg version of it. But it's full on just a tragedy with a lot of disgusting body horror in it. Like it starts out kind of like fun and quirky and it takes a hard left turn into depressing and pukifying. So, but I think it was a really, really well done movie. The sequel's not bad either. The sequel is actually about the original guy's son, who has grown into an adolescent man in the span of 5 years because he has his father's fly DNA. And he's like living in a facility owned by the Bartok Industries, who were the ones who hosted. If you remember the original, where you did get to in the original at the beginning, when Seth Brundle meets Veronica, they're at that symposium where they're all talking about like scientific breakthroughs and shit.
Yeah.
That was hosted by the Bartok Industries, and Bartok
Mm.
Industries is who has Seth Brundle's son in their facility and is studying him as he grows in the sequel. So, yeah, yeah, yeah. It was that was some dark shit. I dare say at the end of that movie, two of the main characters were still alive, but I dare say that no one in that room was a survivor. you know, they might still be breathing, but everybody involved in that was broken. yeah.
You know what? I agree with that assessment.
That was a great movie. Speaking of crazy ass endings, did you happen to see the Mist?
Yeah, I did. That was a good movie.
It was. It's one of the few Stephen King movies that is just good all the way through. Um, Probably because he didn't have shit to do with it. um, he did come out and say though that because I think it was Jan de Bont directed that, and he. No, I'm probably getting that name wrong. But anyway, the director is the one who came up with that crazy ending because that's not how it ends in the story that it's based on. And King himself has come out and said, "I wish I had ended my story that way because it's much, much, much more devastating."
Leave it to Stephen King to say that.
yeah.
It's funny though that you bring up Stephen King because I was actually thinking about. I was thinking about him the other day, and I just noticed there's always a reoccurring theme in his books. It seems like everything happens in Maine.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know. I hadn't paid too much attention to that.
It just makes me wonder, and maybe I'm just getting to maybe I just put too much thought into it. But I was just like, for all the books that man has written, why focus on one area? I mean, in the town he uses is fictional. I think
Oh,
it's
in Maine, I thought you said May is in the month of May. I was like,
no
really? I
Maine,
didn't think
like
that was the
Gary,
case.
Maine.
Oh, that's because he lives there, man. I mean, obviously Derry and Jerusalem's Lot are fictional towns, but Banger's real, and I think that's where he lives.
Speaking of that, I read that they are remaking Salem's Lot.
Why? Ah,
In fact, I think that it's supposed. Let me check and see when it was supposed. I could have sworn it's supposed to come out this year.
well, they're running out of year to put it out, so yeah, I don't know, man. As as vampire stories go, I always thought that Salem's Lot was kind of boring.
Yeah,
You know,
it's coming out 2023, and there's a trailer for it. Oh, they're using the Nosferatu vampire. It's ugly looking too.
well, the what the hell was the name of the? I can't remember the name of the vampire in that movie, but he wasn't real pretty looking in the book that it was based on either. Which, by the way, that's one of the few books I have never actually finished because it's boring. you know, I don't know. I've never gotten past a certain point because it's just I keep falling asleep. It's so goddamn dull. I do remember the Langoliers. I actually read that. My first copy of Four Past Midnight, which is the collection that has the Langoliers in it, which hilariously is not even the best story in there. It's okay, but there are three other novellas, and the Sundog is better. I think Golden Years is in that too, or was that a different clay? It doesn't matter. Anyway, the copy that I got, the cover was an advertisement for the movie version of the Langoliers, or the TV movie version of it, which is I hadn't seen yet, but so I read the story and then I went and watched the show. It wasn't bad, and at the time, the special effects seemed really good. At the time, now they look like something off of my uh, Sega Genesis, but you know, um, but yeah, was it Hocus Pocus 2 was scary? Is it
I
is it because it was so bad or because it was so good? I haven't seen it.
I saw that there was this lady that got interviewed by a newspaper, but she was begging parents not to watch it because she said that the actors in it were casting real spells on anybody who watches it.
Oh yeah, I heard something about that too. That sounds like a throwback to the Satanic Panic of the 80s and 90s. And hell, they might have been, but for those of you who are not new, you probably already know this. But those of you who are not, generally generally here, or you're new to the channel or what have you, I am a pagan. That's not how it works. it, it's one of the things about that kind of stuff is that the person who's being cast upon or what have you has to believe in it, or nothing happens. It's not a one-way thing. Everybody involved's gotta have some level of belief for anything to happen. It's mostly psychosomatic. So
Right.
even if they were doing something like that, unless you believe that it was going to affect you, it wouldn't affect you. you know it's mostly your own mind that makes that shit happen. So yeah, I wouldn't worry. I wouldn't read too much into that. I know that there's a, not to get too into religious stuff here, but there's a sentiment among certain religions, particularly the Abrahamic variety, that the practices of other religions are inherently of the enemy. Uh, Obviously, I disagree with that sentiment, but I have noticed that because of that tendency to shun all of that sort of thing, they get a little touchy when anybody's you know expressing themselves that way. And yeah, some of that shit you really don't want to mess around with, and you don't want to be around some of those people. Sure, there's dark sides to it too.
Yeah.
Um, but odds are that was a publicity stunt, would be my guess. I'm pretty sure they said the same thing about The Craft when it came out in the 90s.
Yeah. I do remember though that one of them ended up becoming a Wiccan for real. The one that played the main bad girl, the one that flipped out, she actually opened up a magic shop after that. I think to this day, I think she still is one.
Oh, Fairuza Balk?
Yeah.
Yeah, she might be. I don't know. She's a pretty good actress. I've seen her in a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent actress.
She was in Waterboy, American History X, Things to Do in Denver when you're dead, which is a great crime movie, by the way. Uh, that takes place in Denver of all freaking places. you know, Got Anthony LaPaglia and Christopher Walken. Christopher Lloyd's in it. It's a good movie. So not a horror movie; it's a crime movie. But anyway, she's in that too. Oh well, yeah, yeah. The one with the detachable jaw.
Detachable jaw.
Have you ever seen that woman open her mouth to its full capacity?
Yes.
She could swallow a baby's head. Like it
Sadly,
looks
it's
like
just
it comes
true.
unhinged like a snake's does, and the skin just stretches. you know,
Sadly, it does.
you know, I'm sure she's a very pleasant woman, but that's kind of terrifying. Not only could she put her own fist in her mouth, she could put mine in her mouth. You know? No, very, very, very large, proportion-wise, mouth area on that woman. So, but yeah, that swallow a baby's head. That's good. And it reminds me that do you remember what was it? Friday the 13th Part 3, I think, The Dream Warriors, where Freddy like opens his mouth over his chick and like swallows her.
Did you say Friday the 13th?
Yes, I did. I got them mixed up. I meant
Nightmare
A
on Elm
Nightmare on Elm
Street?
Street.
Now, you talking about the one where he turned into that snake and he swallowed that kid up?
I think so.
I'm not sure if that, I think that was the first one, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't. The first one, the first kill was Tina, who gets drug up the wall.
Right.
Right. Second kill was her boyfriend, who gets hanged with his own sheets in jail. Third kill was Glenn, who gets pulled into his bed and becomes a fountain of blood, who was played by Johnny Depp. And then the fourth kill was Nancy's mother, who was burned. And then Nancy defeats Freddy.
Right.
So no, it wasn't in the first one. I can't believe I remember that much about that movie. It's been a minute since I've seen it.
It's been a while since I've watched any. Man, how old was I last time I watched the Freddy movie?
I watched A New Nightmare not that long ago.
I think that was the last one I saw.
Yeah. Well, that was the first one and that one are probably the very best of that series, and they're both pretty damn good. Wasn't Roseanne in Freddy's Dead?
Was she?
I think so.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm gonna look that up real quick. Was Roseanne? Still to save my life tonight. Apologies, all. Roseanne in Freddy's Dead. Yep. There was a surprise cameo from Roseanne Barr and her then husband Tom Arnold. Fuck, Tom Arnold was in that too. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
That movie was really bad, and I only watched it once, I think.
The only good part of it was when Freddy's daughter when she put those grenades in, and he was just like, kids.
Yeah. That's I mean, if you're not into slasher movies, I get it, but if you like those kinds of movies, there's some gems in those series, and there are some real stinkers.
Yeah, Josh, if you ever get the urge to watch any of the Nightmare on Elm Streets, stay away from the second one.
Yeah, the second one, and then Freddy's Dead, which I think is the sixth one. Those two were just bad movies, but the rest of them are pretty good. And the very first one and the Wes Craven's New Nightmare are actually really good. As far as Friday the 13th, I would say part 1, part 6, and maybe part 8, and then Jason Goes to Hell are probably the best of them. Although Jason Goes to Hell is a ridiculous movie. It is. It's just weird and out there, but it's a fun watch. Unless you like really goofy shit, though, I'd probably stay away from Jason X. No. 6 was Jason Lives, right? That's the one where he gets resurrected by basically Carrie. I think the chick with the psychic powers. Or was that part 7? I don't remember exactly which one that was. I thought part 7 was Takes Manhattan.
No, I think she was part 6.
Yeah,
because like she calls her dad to save her in the end.
Yeah, but that character basically was Carrie. They just couldn't use that name because they couldn't secure the rights to it because they wanted to do Jason versus Carrie, which is why she had the insane psychic powers and all that stuff. But I thought that one was actually pretty good. So, all right, Bernie, have a great night. We will see you hopefully Saturday.
Yeah, and I have to get up early.
Yeah,
I forgot all about that.
I have a horror movie I'm very much looking forward to watch. So I will probably be we'll be calling it. I think right about now. Glad to see everybody here. It was good to see everybody. Bad Brother, come on back anytime. We do this show Thursdays generally, and then there's a show on Saturday, every Saturday about 4 p.m. Mountain Time, called Screaming Into the Void. As Larry crinkles some stuff right over what I'm trying to say here.
Hey, hey, let me. Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Um, I wanted to make sure you were done. I didn't want to cut you off. But guys, yeah, we are Sam and I. We are working on some stuff. We definitely want to grow this channel.
Sweet.
Grow this particular show. Have some stuff for you guys. Right now, we have to be careful. I'm sure, as you guys know, Nick Rekieta got he got false flagged and got kicked off of YouTube. So they're trying to get that back on. But I have been finding out. There are YouTubers that are getting copyright struck for videos that they did 3 years ago. One guy got a copyright strike again from YouTube itself. YouTube tried to copyright his voice, and it hit him with a copyright strike out of nowhere for no reason, just for his voice. So there's a lot of craziness going on right now, and the same guy, he calls himself a ship life. He works on a cruise ship and does some other stuff, but apparently he used some music. No, he used a news clipping that another YouTuber used, and he commented on it. So it's fair use.
Mm-hmm.
And he got hit with 2 copyright strikes, and YouTube's talking about yanking his channel off. So he's basically, I'm not gonna say it's not being extorted, but it's like he is being forced to financially negotiate with this other YouTuber because YouTube's getting ready to yank his channel off. Because not only does he have 2 strikes, but they are now combing through every video he's ever made. This guy hasn't done anything to anybody. His channel's not political. It's not any of that. But we for you guys, we want to make sure that oh yeah, 7. It happened to the lioness too. Amira got somebody tried to copyright her voice and hit her with a copyright strike.
Yeah, and she had a couple of videos that are a couple of years old were pulled down too.
Yeah, YouTube has been going through her videos. Anything that had to do with elections and stuff, they've been going through her videos and yanking them. So it's going on all over. People are getting copyright struck, get their channels pulled out for no reason.
I mean, I had a copyright claim a couple weeks ago on Screaming Into the Void, but I had that coming. So, I mean, it's that was absolutely my fault. So,
For what?
so when I showed that clip from See No Evil, Hear No Evil, where Richard Pryor is like, you mean I'm not black or I'm not white? That whole thing. So I showed that whole clip and I got claimed for that. And just to, smooth the process along, I just clipped most of that out. But yeah, I got claimed for that. As it turns out, they didn't really care that much, but they were going to make me go through the whole stupid process.
But it's fair use.
Well, yeah, yes and no. It's still like everybody who made that movie is dead, but it's still owned by the people who own all the rights to that and all that stuff. I don't think they cared that much because it would have gone through if I'd just waited and been patient, but I wasn't patient, so I ended up just cutting the clip out. But I did leave the link for the clip in the description of that live stream. So if anybody wants to go back and find it, they can easily, because it's definitely worth watching. Although I'd say watch the whole movie. That's a great fucking comedy.
Oh yeah. So. But things are getting interesting. I mean, Elon decided to go through with the Twitter deal, and then I read that he's trying to get back out of it. We'll see what's going on. But
yeah.
But YouTube is definitely on one. If you guys have watched Nick Rekieta, be sure to go on Twitter, and let YouTube know what's going on. I mean, I think the same thing happened to the quartering where
that's
somebody.
That's actually something I was going to bring up too. Is I did a solo stream last night for those of you who didn't catch it under Whispering in the Dark, which are the solo streams that I do that whenever I have something to say about something about Ricada. And in the description of that video, the links to his locals and his Rumble are in there. If guys feel like going over and supporting him in those places. I guess yesterday he was streaming on Rumble to 25,000 live, which is pretty insane for Rumble.
Yeah.
So, it's just, that's easiest way to support them and help them out there. If you're on Twitter, although, if you're not, don't, because it's not fucking worth it. But if you are on Twitter, at Team YouTube, let them know that they made a mistake politely, but let them know they made a mistake.
Because we know it's the algorithm.
Yeah.
They really need to do something about this algorithm, because it really allows for a lot of abuse.
Right. And we'll be talking more about this on Saturday. I'm trying to get this guest on who actually credits Nick with his being on YouTube in the first place. And so we might have him for a little while too. And maybe, I don't want to fully announce that stuff. It's not set in stone, but hopefully we'll have this guest on. He'll tell his story about that too. And we'll talk more about the Ricada situation then. But yeah. And also I am looking as I said on last night's stream, I am looking into Rumble and, Locals and Odyssey and all these other alt tech platforms myself. I haven't signed up on any of them yet, but I am looking into the possibility of uploading all of these over there as well. Possibly simultaneously streaming on Rumble as I do here, just kind of mirroring the content as it were, just in case. So, but just be aware that's all coming. Meantime, I'm not going to censor a damn thing I say, because fuck YouTube.
I think there is going to be more of a steady shift to Rumble and Odyssey, because from what I saw earlier today, especially with the other channels, the other law channels and stuff, everybody's really getting sick and tired of what YouTube's doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, whole thing's a mess. So that said, I don't have anything else to plug. Come check us out Saturday afternoons,
Along with
Into
Kat,
the Void.
most likely.
Yep, we will have our other main co-hosts there, Kat the Hijabi Gamer and Mr. Chow, who's a very old friend of mine, and looking into he's got some editing he's doing right now, but he's going to start uploading on his channel too. And their links will also be in the chat there if you're not familiar with them. Not chat, the descriptions. I'm not good at YouTube. But hopefully we'll see. I believe you're going to be on this week, right?
Yeah, I'll be on this week.
Okay. And then, I'm trying to get a couple. I'm trying to get, dude. I didn't tell you about this. So, earlier today on Twitter, like way earlier today, Kat added Melanie Mack. You know who she is?
No.
Okay, so she's another video game and pop culture YouTuber. She's been on Friday Night Tights a couple times. Her channel is Melanie Mack Go Boom. She's pretty entertaining. Huge Tomb Raider fan. Very upset with the direction that franchise is taken. And she's famous for eating sticks of butter. It's all a thing. Anyway, so somebody accused our Kat, the Hijabi Gamer, of basically impersonating Melanie Max, appropriating her whole personality.
What?
And like down to the inflections she uses when she speaks, right? Which is nuts. Yeah. Good night, 7-1. Good to see you. We'll see you soon. So she ats Melanie Mack and says, apparently I'm you. I mean, no one's seen us together. And all this stuff. And she's like, and Melanie got back to her. She goes, I just went to your channel and you're just being you and playing games and being yourself. I don't see where this guy's getting that from. So I retweeted that whole conversation and I said, maybe we should get the both of you on this Saturday so you can duke it out over personality rights. Anyway, Kat's down, but I haven't heard shit back from Melanie. I'm hoping she'll get back to me and maybe come on, but I don't think she will. She's a much, much bigger YouTuber than I am. But
at 61,000 subscribers.
Yeah, she's got something like 150K follows on Twitter too. Although who knows how many of those are bots, but I imagine quite a few of them are not. So, but that said, we all got somewhere to be, so we're gonna cut this short. I think we made a pretty good discussion tonight.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely enjoyed tonight. I'm gonna have, like I said, I'm gonna try to have something for next week. I'm gonna go back, really look at this copyright
Mm.
stuff. I mean, like I said, they're just wild, and it would be so much easier if you could just watch something and actually have some visuals for people. But
Right.
and I think a lot of these claims are happening because and I wouldn't say YouTube is lazy. It's just that it's gotten so big and they've made it so easy. It's like if you get a copyright claim, they should look at the video first instead of just automatically yanking it and then making you jump through hoops to prove that you didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's fuck YouTube. It's like Carrie's always saying, "Fuck YouTube."
Yeah.
But and hopefully he'll join us this weekend, at least in the chat. I know he posted something earlier today, so he's back as far as I can tell, where he's got at least some internet service. But anyway, all right, guys, that's all I got. Larry, did you have anything you wanted to plug?
No, sir. That's it.
Okay. Well, we out. Thanks for coming. Thanks for watching. And remember, YouTube, it could always be worse. It could be raining flaming cobras. Good night.